Tuesday morning. President Obama making a big campaign-style push to focus on the economy. Starts tomorrow. He's going to call for more spending. Let's bring in former Reagan economic advisor Art Laffer. Let's just suppose, Art, that the president gets his way, that he pushes through Congress more spending on infrastructure, on education, on preschool, on manufacturing. You name it, we spend more. Will it work?
No, of course it won't work. I mean, a poor person can't spend himself into wealth or prosperity. And government doesn't create resources, it redistributes them. And every dollar of spending is done has caused damage to the economy. The reason we had the Great Recession was because of this stimulus spending and all this nonsense. And frankly, the reason we're recovering at all is because of a huge drop in government spending. And the faster and further down it goes, the better off the U.S. economy will be.
OK, I've heard all these reports that we grew 1.8% in the first 3 months of the year and even less than that in the second 3 months of the year. That's accurate? Tell me, how bad is it?
It's pretty bad. I mean, you know, he's raised taxes in the last year or two and on productive factors. You can't tax an economy into prosperity. And you've got all of this going on in a very poorly constructed administration. And when he goes out in the countryside and talks about jobs programs, it's ridiculous. We have the single worst recovery, as you know, Stuart, in the history of the United States. And it's as far below the next worst as the next worst is below the best. So it's a terrible economy, and especially in employment, but also in GDP, as you mentioned. It's just not getting better, and he's continually trying the same old mistaken policies.
I want your thoughts on what Pope Francis had to say about young people and work. He said, look, personal dignity comes from working. Made a big point of saying that on his trip to Brazil.
Yes.
I said earlier that reminds me of Ronald Reagan. How about you?
It does. It does, very much so. I mean, no one's proud of living on handouts. You know, to get self-esteem and pride, you need a good, high-paying job. And frankly, John F. Kennedy, I thought, put it beautifully when he said the best form of welfare is still a good, high-paying job. And I think the Pope is reflecting that, and I think he's completely correct. And especially, I wish he'd come to the U.S. and tell Obama that as well.
Wait, there's a moral component to work, isn't there? I mean,
there is a huge moral component.
It's intrinsically good to earn your own bread.
You feel great when you've done a good job. I mean, whether it's a low job like mowing a lawn or writing a paper, whatever it is, it's really wonderful. It's very self-gratifying and very fulfilling to do it. And plus you make some money. And that's not all bad either. But when they take away the monetary incentive from this process, then you don't have these jobs for young people, and you have a catastrophic situation in the U.S., which will last. I mean, the damage done will last for generations, literally. These young people who have not had jobs for 3 or 4 years become unemployable. After being unemployable for 3 or 4 years, they become hostile. And then you have to spend a fortune trying to protect yourself from them. And that's not the way to run a country. It's just plain not. We need enterprise zones and a low-rate flat tax, and get the heck out of the way and let the economy cure itself.
I'm inclined to give you the rest of the show, but unfortunately I can't, because you're on a roll right there, Art Laffer. But thanks very much indeed. Always good stuff. Thanks, Art.
Thank you very much.
Now,